Hey guys, Duncan here. I want to show you a little bit of the process that I went through to make custom LED tail lights for my Mazda MX-6. So we're going to go over that, but really this is a process that you could use for any car that you wanted to make some LED tail lights for. It would just require a little modification for your particular application. So let's check it out. Alright, so I started with an idea. This is a Photoshop mock-up of the look that I wanted to achieve. Full disclosure, this is not my car. This is just a Google image of a MX-6 that I found that I really liked. I wish my car looked this good. One day it will. But I used it to kind of Photoshop the look I was looking for. And what I wanted was something Audi-ish. If you look at the back of new Audis, they have these LED lights, but they're really diffused, so it looks like a solid light bar, and that's what I wanted to accomplish. Now, through some research, I found that Audi and a lot of the major manufacturers use something called light pipes to create that diffused look, which I could not find for purchase. So I had to go about being a little creative in how I was going to make this look. So I started with an extra set of taillights. So these are standard A-spec second gen Mazda MX-6 taillights. Had an extra set from an extra car that I've got laying around, and so I definitely recommend having an extra set of taillights. This is a little bit of a time consuming process. It's not terribly complicated, but you know, it's taken me probably 4 to 6 weeks just working and going to school and all that to be able to do this. So obviously you can't take the tail lights off your daily driver to make it happen. So after I had pulled my extra tail lights and I had my idea, I started gathering the components I would need. All of the things that I used, I either got off of eBay or I got at a local home improvement store, the Home Depot. So this is all stuff that's easily gotten. And I'm going to kind of show you what all I used, and I'll put the item description so you know what you're looking for. First thing I started with was you can get these 5 meter or 15-foot rolls of LED strips. I got red for my brake lights. I used yellow for my turn signals. I got them on eBay. They're 35/28. And I specified I wanted 600 LEDs per roll, and I'll put all that down in the description. And they were like 10 or 15 bucks shipped from China. You're also going to need some of these LED connectors. These just allow you to clip on to the LED strip like so, and it'll give you negative and positive wires that you can use for your wiring. Now, as I said, I wanted to get a diffused Audi-ish type look. So this is just a sheet of diffused acrylic plastic, which I also got on eBay. I drew on it. I was drawing my design. But I got some that has this matte finish on one side, and so let me see if I can show you the effect. So there's the original mock-up. With a little bit of distance, it's diffused. If you lay it right on top, it's clear. So that was for the diffused look that I was trying to go for. I think this cost me like 10 or 15 bucks on eBay, and I'll put up a listing for that too. Now, I wanted to go with a really custom shape. The shape that you see in the mock-up and on my car is not at all original to the Mazda MX-6 taillight. So I needed something that I could use to build a form with. Something that would be durable, but also shapeable and reflective. So this is just dryer vent pipe. This would be in your home. It connects your clothes dryer to the exterior vent so that heat and lint and all that will go outside. I got this at Home Depot. I got 8 feet of it for like $10, and ended up using quite a bit of it. So all I really did was I cut it in half, and then I'd flatten it, and then I drew my shape on it, and you can bend it. I also used some resistors and some little, I don't know if you'd call these diodes or what, but and I'll show you that a little up close later on. I'll put the part number in, and I use these specific resistors. I wanted to be able to use my LEDs as brakes. So that means when you turn your headlights on, they need to be dimmer, and when you hit your brakes, they need to be brighter. That's what I used to accomplish that effect. Additionally, I made these. So these are tester cables. All right. I just took some regular speaker wire and some alligator clips, and I used this throughout the process to test what I was doing, either with a 9-volt battery or when I got to that point on the car itself. Just made sure that I hadn't messed anything up, and I could test functionality and all that while I was going. So this cost me all of like $2 to make. It's just a handy little thing to have. So, first stage in the process was I needed to take my taillights apart and do some fitment testing. So, what I discovered, and the video is about to get shaky, what I discovered is that when you look at the back of the Mazda MX-6 taillights, right here in particular, where where a portion of my LED lights would go, there's not a lot of room to work with there, and it's oddly shaped. Okay? See what I'm talking about? So I wanted part of the curve to be sitting like right there, but there wasn't a lot of room to work with. So what I had to do was completely cut that portion of the taillights out. So that's the inside view of the taillights. That's the back of it. I had to cut that out so that the new components would fit. Additionally, the inside of the MX-6 taillights are a reflective silver color. I painted that black, and I'll tell you why here in a second. Also, I wanted all red lenses. I didn't like that weird amber turn signal portion of it, and that wouldn't go well with the design I had in mind. So this is the matching lens to the set I showed you, and what I used to get it red was this VHT Nightshades red tint. I could not find this anywhere locally. I had to order it off of Amazon, but as you can see, it worked really well. And to give you kind of an idea of light transmission, that amber is completely gone. So it is now a completely red tail lens. The next stage in the process was to use that dryer vent to create the shape that I wanted. So basically what I did was I took some blue painter's tape and I put it over the lens, and I drew the design that I wanted. I then cut that tape out to the shape, placed it on the flattened dryer vent, traced it, and then drew it out, and then I bent it up so that I have a little box. Now, I did this for a couple different reasons. One, I wanted to be able to reflect the light of the LEDs as much as possible. And two, because I wanted that clear, crisp shape. I didn't want to just light up the tail ends. I wanted to light it up in that specific kind of, bent shape. I needed to create a box to contain the light so that it wouldn't leak out into the rest of the taillight housing. And so here's my box. It's durable, it's formable, it's cheap, and so far it's been working great. I then took the LED strip, and as you can see kind of here, I took a single strip and wrapped it all the way around, and when I came to a corner I kind of twisted it or bent it or did whatever I had to do. So this is one consecutive length of strip. Initially I tried cutting individual sections of LEDs to the shape that I wanted and soldering them together. I'm not that good at soldering, so it was a massacre. I found this to be much simpler and totally effective, and I did the same thing for the tail light section seen here with yellow LEDs, and for the brake section seen here with red LEDs. That's all just one long strip of LED wire, LED strips. Okay, so I had my box, I had my LEDs in it. Next thing I needed to do was I needed to diffuse that light, because when you put this behind the lens you still see the individual LED lights. So I took that matte acrylic plastic that I showed you and I cut out lenses to fit my shape, like so. Now that helps diffuse the light a little bit, but I think what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to end up taking some like plastic painter's drop cloth and cutting that to fit the shape of the lens also, to get a little more diffusion, because it's not quite where I want it yet. Now the other thing I had to do is these lenses are curved, obviously. I mean, you see that? That's a pretty gnarly curve. The acrylic plastic sheet is not curved. That's straight. So what I had to do was lay the acrylic sheet on top of the lens, like so, and then heat it up with a heat gun and kind of press down on it. And so doing that, I was able to get a curved shape that more or less matches the curvature of the lens. See that? It curves that way, and it also curves inward. Now, word of caution here. This particular acrylic plastic is reasonably thick. We're talking about a 1/4 inch here. The stuff that you get at like Home Depot is generally much thinner. We're talking 1/8 of an inch. And when you apply heat to the thinner product at Home Depot, what happens is you get some bubbling and some warping. It does not take heat very well. The thicker stuff worked much better. But with the thinner stuff, I found I had about a 7-second window. If I went 1 second over that, I warped the piece. So just be careful with that. So I had my box, I had my curved acrylic plastic, and then all I had to do was put it together. So in order to do this, I used hot glue, and I just went around the inside wall of my box and glued it to, glued them together. And so this is now my complete light component with the diffusion lens. Like I said, I'm going to take some plastic drop cloth and I'm going to put a layer of that over there to get a little more diffusion. Here's the turn signal, and the turn signal will fit inside of the component like that, and it will sit behind the lens like that. I also want to show you this on the back of the lens. So as you can see right here, there is a raised lip that separated the amber section of the tail light from the red section of the tail light. Now, because of the flush, clean look I'm trying to get with my light, I needed my lens components to sit as closely to this tail light as possible. So I had to sand that down. I used a Dremel. I didn't do as clean of a job as I would have liked. But one of the things you'll notice when you sand on plastic is you get a hazy finish. So to clean up some of that haze, I used some of my wife's clear fingernail polish. And that cleans up the haziness. This way my lens will be able to sit, you know, pretty flush to the my component lens will be able to sit pretty flush to the taillight, and I'll get nice sharp lines. It'll help with the fitment a little bit, but that's just a little pro tip for you. Clear nail polish takes sanded plastic and makes it a little more translucent. Okay? Now, in order to get the brake lights to light up more dimly for just running around with my headlights on, and to get brighter when I apply the brakes, I had to use this contraption here. Okay? So this basically works like a valve system. Let me get up in there close so you can see. And I'll put the part numbers for all this. So this is going to attach to the taillights at that end. So this is going to attach to the taillights like this. Okay? This end will go to the lights itself. This end will go to the car harness. Okay? This shorter end with just the little valve diode thing will be for the brake lights, and this end here will be for just tail lights. So when you look at the wiring harness for brake light bulbs, you've got three wires. You've got a ground, you've got constant power, which is red, which will go here, and then you've got brake lights, which is green, which will go here. And so the way this works is these little black components are like valves. Okay? So you've got constant power running through here. When you turn your headlights on, it hits the resistor right here, and that narrows the flow of electricity so you get dimmer lights. Brake lights are running through the shorter aspect right here, and when you hit your brakes, there's no resistor there, so you get the full floodgate of power, so you get full light. Okay? See how that works? Alright. So that's how I built the specific components, and now I'll show you kind of how it'll fit together. Once I've got my components built and I'm ready to reassemble, it'll go something like this. I'll take my housing, seen here. I'm going to back this up a little bit so you can see it. Okay, so I'll take my housing and I'll take my components and I'll fit them in the housing. Now this is a little tight, which is good. Okay, like so. I'll run my wire leads through the existing holes where the brake light bulbs used to be, and I'll run my wires through there. I'll use some sort of epoxy to secure my new light components to my original housing. And then I will simply reseal the lens. I'll probably heat it up with a heat gun so that I don't have to stick my new components in the oven. And so from the outside, during daytime driving, it will appear to be a stock taillight component. But when it lights up, you'll see the LED lights. Alright, so that's how I did my custom LED taillights for my MX-6. One of the great things about this is, you know, the only limit to design that you utilize are the limits of the actual housing that you're using. So within that space, you can make any sort of shape you want. You could do your name, you could do triangles, you know, whatever you want. So use your imagination. And this process will work no matter what kind of car you have. So this was my specific process for my specific car, but I know for a lot of us tuners who prefer the old Japanese models, there's really just no aftermarket support, or the aftermarket support that is there doesn't have the products that we want. So I'm a big fan of, you know, why pay someone else to do it if you can do it for yourself. That's how you do it for yourself. Hope this video was helpful to you. If you have any questions, just you know, put a comment in the comment section down there, and I'll be happy to answer them for you.